Well, everyone, the PlayStation 5 has been out for a little bit of time now, and so has the Xbox Series S. So let's go and take a look at these two particular consoles and see which one is the better one for you. Now, I will tell you, these two are very different consoles when it comes down to it. There isn't really, I'm going to tell you, there isn't really a clear answer here. But if you're going for the PlayStation 5, even the digital edition, let's just use the digital edition here. If you're going for the digital edition of the PS5 and you're comparing it against the Xbox Series S, there are lots of advantages and disadvantages for both of these particular consoles. So, like I said, I want to get that out of the way, but if you are going to pick up one, I would say the cheaper, more available one might be the Microsoft Xbox Series S for the majority of people. I think in some ways there could be some advantages of, going down that way, but I will still say the PlayStation 5, there are lots of advantages of going to that particular console, and that is something that I actually like a lot more about the PlayStation 5. So keep that in mind. I would say the biggest thing, but first of all, if you want to pick up either one of these consoles, links will be down in the description. You can get that from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, a big thing you want to keep in mind here is that in my personal opinion, the PlayStation 5 does have a big advantage over the Xbox Series S. And that is when it comes down to the whole entire, basically when it comes down to the whole entire, performance level. The Xbox Series S is a little bit less powerful than the Xbox Series X. And it can be a pretty big difference for a lot of people, depending on, the type of performance, the type of games you're playing. For a lot of people, it might not even matter. And a lot of games are optimized for the Series S. But with the PlayStation 5, it's kind of nice knowing that you're not getting like a worse or like a less powerful console compared to the other PlayStation 5. All you're doing is you're just not getting a disc tray with the PlayStation 5 digital. Other than that, for a lot of people, you might still be okay with something like the Xbox Series S, but that is kind of a downgrade if you're going from a, Xbox Series X to a Series S. But beyond that though, I like the design language on both. So you are getting a little bit different of a design language. The PlayStation 5 is definitely a way bigger console than the Series S. So if you're somebody who wanted to get a bigger console, well, you have that type of capability there, but just know that it comes at a cost. Like if you're going to go through and buy something like the PlayStation 5, you are basically going to have to understand that that particular console is going to be a bigger console, so you will need more space for it. With the Xbox Series S, it is kind of nice knowing that you won't have to really worry about, the console itself, like being too crazy or like having issues with it, because the Series S console is substantially smaller than the PlayStation 5. So once again, that in of itself is another very big thing to kind of keep in mind there too. I still say though, between both, very good port selection as well. So you're still getting USB, A ports on the Xbox Series S. The PlayStation 5, I think, is a little bit better here too. Like with the PlayStation 5, you are basically going to be getting that particular, USB Type-C port on that particular console. So that is something that I actually like a lot about the PlayStation 5. The fact that you're going to be getting that USB-C port over the Xbox Series S. And the older and older these consoles get, they just came out in 2020. That wasn't even that long ago. The fact that these things are like 4 years old now, the fact that that Xbox Series S came out with a USB-A port, no USB-C on it, was very weird to me. I feel like that was very backwards. And I would have loved to have seen Apple I would have loved to have seen Microsoft go through and, bring in that particular USB-C port there. Unfortunately, they did not do it. There's not really too much we can do about it, but that was a very, very unfortunate thing going on for that particular console. I will still say though, with the Xbox Series S, it still looks great. The PlayStation 5, you're getting, several, more ports inside of that particular console. But I will say still, for the most part, you're still getting a lot of good stuff going on for both these devices. And I would say, like, if you're going to pick up one over the other one, I still think the PlayStation 5 is still very good, and I think the Xbox Series S is good. But if I'm going to pick up one, it might just be the PlayStation 5, at least from the exterior standpoint. Now, on top of that, another couple of reasons why the Xbox, Series S may not be as good as the PlayStation 5, and at least internally, you're getting a little bit of a difference here. So, for one, when it comes down to the performance, you are getting more RAM inside of the PlayStation 5 than the, Xbox Series S. So if you're going to go through and pick up a console, if you want the one with more power, the PlayStation 5 is going to be giving you substantially more power. To kind of think about it in your head, the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 are fairly similar in terms of the power levels, but when it comes down to these ones, the Xbox Series S is just not going to perform as well as something like the PlayStation 5. So this in and of itself can be an issue for some people. Like if you're going to go through and pick up a device, well, that can be kind of an annoying thing depending on who you are. So I do think this in and of itself, once again, is another very, very interesting thing going on here. But the performance levels, once again, when it comes down to it, the PlayStation 5 really is probably going to be the, more powerful one when it comes down to it. But there are still some advantages of the Xbox Series S. One of the biggest advantages, I would say, for the Xbox Series S is the fact that it's substantially cheaper than the PlayStation 5. The Series S you can buy for less than $300 all over the place, and probably maybe even in the used market, maybe less than $200 or around $200. That is a very big difference here between the PlayStation 5. The PlayStation 5 is still over $300 in a lot of places I've looked, and they're not going to get any cheaper than that. I mean, they're probably going to get cheaper in the future, but that in and of itself, once again, is another very, very big thing. If you're going to go through and pick up a device between both, you might want to just go through and pick up the device that might be a little bit better in the price tag standpoint, and that is going to be the Xbox Series S. That console, as far as I can tell you, is probably going to be giving you the overall better experience there, and that is just what comes down to it. From the price tag standpoint, and from it used to be the availability, if you remember that. The availability of these consoles were kind of a little bit different. So if you were going to go through and pick up a console or whatever, it really just depended on what was in the market. If you went to Walmart or Best Buy or online, there's a lot of consoles and devices that you couldn't have bought. Now, it is a little bit different because it's just a way better experience in my personal opinion from buying it, from all that stuff. And I think that in and of itself, once again, was another very cool thing going on there. So personally for me, I think that was a really cool thing going on for these particular devices as well. Now, on top of that, when it comes down to it, between both, I do think the Xbox Series X, is the more powerful one than the Xbox Series S, but I do think the Series S still has a lot of power, and I'm still very happy with that particular one as well. The controllers are also slightly different, as you probably would have expected. I do think if you're going to go through and pick up one over the other one, you're definitely going to be getting a very good experience from the controllers on both. But as far as I can tell you, I have always felt like with the Xbox Series S, that controller this year just really wasn't as good as the PlayStation 5's controller. I love the PlayStation 5's controller, and I really do think that was an overall better one in my personal opinion than the Xbox Series S controller. The Series S or the X, they're basically the same thing. And it's kind of a sad thing because I do kind of feel like in a lot of ways the Xbox Series S had a lot of potential with that controller. But the fact that, I just felt like it didn't feel as good as even like the Xbox One's controller. It was better in a lot of ways, but I don't know, I felt like the PlayStation 5's controller was just more thought out. It was giving me a lot more features inside of it, and the design language of that particular controller just looked and felt so much better to me than the Series S controller. So I think if you're going to look at, those two again, there might be some advantages, once again, of going up to the PlayStation 5 controller than the Series S controller from this particular standpoint as well. So once again, like I said, that was just one other thing that I kind of noticed. It's not the biggest deal in the world or anything, but that was one of many things that I noticed throughout this whole entire comparison. So to kind of sum up this whole entire review, this whole entire comparison, and to kind of think about it, I definitely do think a device like the Xbox Series X, Series S, in this case, they're very good consoles. I like these consoles a lot, but I look at the PlayStation 5, and I think that is a more of a console than the Xbox Series S. But it's not to kind of shade at the Xbox Series S. I think the Series S is a beautiful console. I think it still has a lot of capability, and I do think if you're going to play Xbox games, that's a very, very good console. But I kind of think to myself, if you're going to go and buy a particular console, and if you want the best experience, maybe the PlayStation 5 is a better way. But I still think the Xbox Series S is a very, very good device. I love that console so much, and it's so cheap now, and it makes just a lot of sense to go and buy that one in some ways than the PlayStation 5 because of its price. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.